Alright, I'm gonna be real with you. I used to think Avengers Assemble was just another random superhero cartoon to kill time. But once you actually start watching it, bro, it's twist after twist. There's alien invasions, villains turning into allies, allies turning into villains, and Tony Stark nearly dying like 50 times. In today's video, we're breaking down everything that went down in this wild ride of a show. From the early days with Red Skull, all the way to the cosmic madness of the Beyonder and the chaos of Battleworld. Avengers dropping like flies, coming back, disappearing, blowing stuff up, and of course, saving the world in the end. So get comfy, grab some popcorn, and let's dive back into this roller coaster called Avengers Assemble. It all kicks off with Tony Stark waking up at noon after 3 hours of sleep, because who needs a full 8 when you've got coffee and sarcasm on your side? But let's be real, boredom was setting in. He even started wondering if any of his old superhero buddies were still alive, or maybe just in need of a last-minute rescue. But then, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, and genius gets his routine rudely interrupted by an alarm. Something shady was going down, and guess who was behind it? Hydra, because of course. As Stark looked into it, he got the most annoying news of the day. Red Skull was alive and kicking. Well, more like stopping around and being a pain. That alone was bad enough. But when Jarvis confirmed it was really him, yeah, nothing like a zombie Nazi to spice up your afternoon. Wasting no time, Tony suited up and flew straight into the chaos, where he found the ever-reliable Captain America. Because if there's one guy who's always ready to throw hands with Nazis, it's Steve Rogers. There he was, solo, fighting off a small army of Hydra goons, like it was just another Monday. Classic Steve. Iron Man swooped in, ready to make his big entrance with a snarky one-liner, but Red Skull had other plans. Turns out, thanks to MODOK, he had leveled up, now rocking some next-gen tech upgrades. Yep, Red Skull came with factory-installed enhancements. The fight got ugly fast. Hydra's soldiers were juiced up, Red Skull looked like a pay-to-win boss from a DLC, and Tony was getting wrecked. His armor was so beat up, it looked like it had just lost a demolition derby. And to make it worse, Red Skull had the nerve to mock Stark's tech addiction. Easy to say when you've got a maniacal super brain giving you software updates on the fly. And that day, Evil managed to take down America's symbol of freedom, Captain America. Seeing Steve go down hit Tony hard. His suit was falling apart. He had no backup plan. So he did the only thing left. He activated the legendary Avengers Protocol. The signal went out to the old gang: Hawkeye, Thor, Hulk, Falcon, and Black Widow. At first, everyone was like, are we really doing this again? But the second they heard Captain America might be dead, they all dropped whatever they were doing and ran straight into the fire. Gotta have your priorities straight. Tony took charge and started laying out a plan. Thor and Hulk would handle MODOK. But then, Tony saw something that made him drop everything. Cap was still alive, but Red Skull wasn't done. Oh no. He revealed his final trick. Not only had he survived, he was now piloting Captain America's body. Yeah, MODOK's tech had let him swap minds with the #1 hero in the US. Everyone froze. Steve Rogers was now the bad guy, with a weird accent to boot. Reversing this nightmare became top priority. After a whole lot of punches, explosions, and dramatic one-liners, the team managed to set things right and get Steve back in his own body. But, in classic villain fashion, Red Skull slipped away. Because, come on, no bad guy ever gets caught the first time. Just when the Avengers thought they could take a breather, boom. Plot twist number 2. Red Skull had hacked Stark's tech and upgraded himself again, now calling himself Iron Skull. The Avengers are doing their absolute best to save the most reckless billionaire on the team, Tony Stark. And who's leading the rescue mission? Hulk, of course. Because when everything's falling apart, the logical solution is to throw a 1,200-pound green rage monster into the rubble with his teammates cradled in his arms like babies. Meanwhile, Black Widow rolls up in her jet to pick up the squad, because someone's got to be the responsible adult around here. Back at the relatively safe Avengers mansion, the team realizes a small but important detail. Stark is falling apart, literally, and needs more than a band-aid to get back on his feet. Falcon, who apparently binge-watched a few first aid tutorials on YouTube, decides the best way to stabilize Tony is to electrocute him. Yep, the classic turn it off and on again method. Now, FDA approved. The craziest part? It actually works. Fresh off his near-death experience, Stark immediately wants to show off his brand new Mark 50 suit, a tech upgrade so next level that Elon Musk's probably drafting a buyout offer as we speak. But before the dysfunctional family can fully regroup, a real problem shows up. Red Skull and MODOK decide today is the perfect day for a full-on assault on Avengers Mansion. Because sure, why not? Villains always have evil plans. and somehow flawless timing. To make things worse, MODOK, imagine a giant floating head powered by bad vibes and suspicious Wi-Fi, decides it's the perfect moment to test out his fancy new nanotech by mind-controlling the Avengers.
I control the machines control the Avengers.
Hulk, Thor, and Hawkeye get turned into glitchy NPCs under MODOK's control, while the rest of the team scrambles to figure out what's going on. J. Jonah Jameson's already updating his gossip column, news site, saying the Avengers have lost it and are now a threat to humanity. Can't wait for his YouTube livestream rant titled, "I Told You So." Inside the mansion, things go from bad to complete dumpster fire. The mind-controlled heroes start fighting each other, but don't worry, Stark, who's somehow already back to full strength, realizes that MODOK's nanotech has a weakness, an electromagnetic pulse. So what does he do? Yep, hits the big red EMP button. Everyone stops glowing red like evil Christmas ornaments, and the team snaps out of it just in time. The final brawl inside the mansion is pure chaos. Explosions, lightning bolts, flying punches, and Tony probably shouting some over-the-top one-liner for dramatic flair. But then comes the real bombshell. The mansion's nuclear reactor is about to blow. And if it does, Manhattan's about to become a glowing crater. Hulk grabs the reactor and tosses it skyward. Still amazed he didn't just crush it. Thor hits it midair with lightning to stabilize it, and Falcon uses his speed to redirect the blast into space. Boom, city saved, base destroyed. At another expense the Avengers can't expense to S.H.I.E.L.D. But Red Skull, that guy just doesn't quit. He broadcasts a message to villains all over the world, rallying them to take down the Avengers once and for all. Luckily, S.H.I.E.L.D. intercepts one of the transmissions and forwards it to Stark, and just like that, the big bad Cabal is born, a powerhouse crew of top-tier supervillains including MODOK, Hyperion, Dracula, yes, that Dracula, and Red Skull himself. After a bunch of wild adventures and the rise of a full-on villain squad, Tony Stark, tech genius and king of questionable decisions, decided it was time to let the Start Probability Engine, aka SPE, take the wheel. It was supposed to be a high-tech system that could mathematically predict the outcome of any battle. In reality, it worked about as well as a weather app that just says rain every day. Captain America's not buying it. He still believed in gut instinct, human judgment, all that good stuff. But Tony was all in on his shiny new toy, because of course he was. Enter Hyperion, a knockoff Superman with a serious god complex. First thing he does, goes straight for the Hulk, because apparently someone thought that punching the Hulk was a solid game plan. Spoiler, it wasn't. Their fight ends with both of them crash landing into the nearest river like it's WrestleMania, Aquatic Edition. While Hyperion was busy showing off how indestructible he thought he was, Red Skull and his League of Evil Besties launched a coordinated attack. The good news: the SPE predicted every move they made, which let the Avengers counter them fast. The bad news: the villains knew about the system and were feeding it false data. Basically, Tony got hit with the superhero version of one of those "I'm a Nigerian prince, please send money" scams. On the battlefield, Thor and Hulk were tag teaming Hyperion into the dirt. Meanwhile, Black Widow and Hawkeye were in full defense mode, doing everything they could to hold off MODOK. Tony, being Tony, still had total faith in the SPE, thinking his tech would save the day. Then came the twist. The whole attack was a distraction to steal a cosmic energy source. Yep, the Tesseract, because it just can't not show up, had resurfaced in Death Valley, setting out serious power waves. Red Skull and MODOK played Stark like an outdated modem. Finally, Tony realized relying on numbers alone wasn't going to cut it. He tried to adjust the strategy, but Captain America had already figured it out. The only way to win this was to ditch the screens and trust that old-school battlefield instinct. Problem is, it was already too late. The Avengers got wrecked, the Tesseract ended up in enemy hands, and the only reason Red Skull didn't wipe them out on the spot was because the Tesseract was way too unstable to control. To make matters worse, 2 missiles were launched at innocent cities. Luckily, the Avengers managed to stop them, because if there's one thing they still do really well, it's cleaning up chaos. In the end, Tony finally admitted that the human element matters. No more over-reliance on AI. Sometimes, you've got to shut down the system and just trust your gut. The Avengers were doing what they do best, chasing down bad guys with a knack for turning the world into a front row seat to the apocalypse. This time, their path led straight to a Cabal hideout. Yep, that charming little villain club led by Red Skull, who's got a weird obsession with cosmic artifacts and dramatic monologues. Ever since Skull got his hands on the Tesseract, the guy basically vanished, and that's never a good sign, because when a villain stops making noise in public, you can bet he's cooking up something way worse in private. private. Sure enough, Tony Stark, using his trusty cosmic energy detector, aka trouble radar, picked up on some seriously bad vibes. Red Skull wasn't just doing your average mad scientist routine. He was stockpiling iridium and channeling the Tesseract's energy into a plan that screamed end of the world for everyone who enjoys, breathing and existing in 3 dimensions. Meanwhile, inside the Cabal, things were already going full-on reality show. Hyperion, Attuma, MODOK, and Dracula, yes, that Dracula, because apparently Marvel pulls names out of a hat when forming evil teams, were too busy fighting over who'd be the next Dark Overlord. But Red Skull, ever the beacon of kindness and democracy, just kidding, made it clear there was only one plan. Him, on top, ruling it all. And just like that, the time-honored villain tradition of backstabbing began. Hyperion tried to pull a coup and got slapped with a cosmic reality check.
A world advanced enough to appreciate my greatness awaits.
MODOK realized Skull wasn't exactly into teamwork makes the dream work, and tried to revolt too. That ended about as well as you'd expect. While this evil soap opera was unfolding, the portal machine got fired up, and of course, Red Skull had to stand right in the center of the unstable cosmic energy. Because when you see a glowing, unstable vortex pulsing with untold power, the logical thing to do is step into it. Red Skull went full upgrade, now introducing Cosmic Skull, glowing blue and white, looking like he just walked out of a 90s fighting game. The guy wasn't even human anymore. He was something more, something cosmic, something completely unstoppable. The Avengers threw everything they had at him. Brute force? Nope. Strategy? Nada. Hail Mary, maybe this'll work. Moves? Still nothing. Cosmic Skull was dodging Hulk and Hyperion's punches like he was playing Dance Dance Revolution on expert mode. Thor brought down the thunder, and Skull sent it right back like it was a highlight reel. Falcon and Hawkeye tried their stealthy approach, but Skull already knew their moves before they made them. It wasn't a fight, it was a cosmic beatdown with choreography. Meanwhile, Stark and Falcon were trying to shut down the portal machine, but surprise, that ship had sailed. The Iridium Tesseract combo was ripping cracks in reality, like when your old microwave makes that weird noise and suddenly looks like it's about to open a wormhole to another universe. That's when Cap had his lightbulb moment. Skull wasn't trying to rule the world, he was aiming way past that. He wanted to transcend, to become some sort of ultimate being, someone who doesn't need health insurance or worry about paying rent. And if the Avengers didn't stop him fast, it wouldn't just be Earth in trouble, it'd be everything. So there they were, a team of heroes totally outmatched, crumbling Cabal, finally realizing Skull played them all. Better late than never, right? And a villain who now had limitless power. In other words, just another Tuesday for the Avengers. The world was a mess. Red Skull, now upgraded to Cosmic Skull, was floating over cities like a final boss in a video game, wielding the Tesseract like he'd just unlocked God mode from some cosmic cheat menu, and as if his ego wasn't already in orbit, the guy was tearing holes in reality, opening interdimensional portals like he was browsing Netflix. The Avengers were scattered. Hulk, Thor, and Captain America were doing their best to hold off the cosmic invasion, brawling with the energy soldier things Cosmic Skull was vomiting out of the rift. Meanwhile, Hawkeye and Falcon were stuck in damage control mode, because apparently someone had to make sure civilization didn't get completely wiped off the map. On the flip side, Tony Stark was trying to come up with a solution that didn't involve just throwing money or missiles at the problem. The real issue? Skull was getting so insanely powerful that even he couldn't tell where his evil ended and his total insanity began. At this point, the dude was basically a walking software glitch. That's when Stark had that one ridiculous idea every action hero eventually has. What if we teamed up with the bad guys? Yep, that was the plan. MODOK, Attuma, Hyperion, and Dracula all realized Skull wasn't trying to win the game. He wanted to own the entire console, and if they didn't stop him, they'd all be deleted from existence. Unlikely alliance? Check. Insane plan? Double check. Chance of total failure? Oh, 100%. The battle turned into an all-out chaotic brawl. MODOK, with that massive noggin of his, was trying to hack Skull's armor. Hyperion and Hulk went into full punch first, ask questions, never mode. Red Skull gets his armor hacked, and then Thor uses Mjolnir to smash through his energy shield. Then came the big comeback. Black Widow returned with style. While everyone else was trading punches, she'd been off on a critical undercover mission. And of course, the info she brought back came with a solution that was absurdly dangerous. Because when is it ever easy with this crew? Using her coordinates, Hawkeye, who, let's be honest, was probably feeling a bit useless in this Gods vs. Monsters cage match, loaded up his souped up disruptor arrows and hit the cosmic weak spots. The result? Skull lost control of the portals, just for a few seconds. But that was all the Avengers needed. Iron Man and MODOK, a duo nobody had on their bingo card, led the final strike. Hulk and Thor held Skull down. Don't ask how, just know it was epic. While MODOK forced a massive overload in the villain's armor. And then, boom, the Tesseract fused with Iridium went past the point of no return, like a microwave left on high too long, and Cosmic Skull got sucked into the interdimensional vortex he created. And here's the poetic part. He begged for help. The same guy who'd spent the whole fight acting like he was the main character in every movie ever, totally desperate. But no one, absolutely no one, moved a muscle. The planet was safe. The portal sealed. The universe stopped glitching like a phone on a group chat meltdown, and the Avengers could finally breathe again. But of course, there's always a twist. Black Widow, ever the skeptic, followed the last trace of energy and found the truth. Red Skull wasn't destroyed. He'd just been launched into another dimension, but something about it felt off. After going through the whole saga of Coach Red Skull teaching us how to pick the world's most cliché villain name, things finally settle down, until they don't. Out of nowhere, chaos erupts again, and Thor kicks things off by dramatically declaring that the destruction ends now. Spoiler, it absolutely doesn't. Hulk wastes zero time and dives straight into smashing stuff like it's his favorite hobby, because it kinda is, while Iron Man hovers above trying to micromanage the disaster like he's running a company meeting in the middle of a war zone. Meanwhile, Black Widow and Hawkeye are busy turning a high-speed chase into something straight out of a Fast and Furious movie. Natasha drives like traffic laws are just a suggestion. Clint complains the whole time, and Stark drops sarcastic one-liners through their comms like he's hosting a podcast mid-battle.
Keep shooting, the meter's running.
Guidance seems to have made the team self-sufficient, sir.
The high cost of leading with a 100% success rate.
In the end, they shut the threat down, but of course, peace never lasts long around here. Suddenly, Jarvis warns them about an unidentified alien object entering Earth's atmosphere. Stark, being Stark, decides to check it out solo, because hey, what could possibly go wrong? A lot, apparently. The ship is massive, and it brought a bunch of murder drones as party favors. Outnumbered, Tony calls in the Avengers. The fight gets wild. Hulk's tearing drones apart like paper, and Widow and Hawkeye are doing their tactical spy thing, dodging, flipping, and blowing stuff up with perfect timing. Then they notice something weird. One of the drones has a pilot. After a rough landing, the mystery flyer is revealed, and it's Red Skull. But instead of dropping some evil monologue, he begs for help. Yeah, that's how you know things are bad. Turns out, Thanos is coming. Before they can even digest that info, Captain America touches the Power Stone and immediately gets possessed, almost leveling everything around him. Cap, realizing he can't handle that much power, drops the stone. Realizing they need answers fast, Stark digs into his dad's old files and uncovers a forgotten project, Arsenal, a robot built to absorb massive amounts of energy. The Avengers head to an abandoned facility and find Arsenal powered down. One touch is enough to wake him up, and he boots up like a machine that definitely hasn't had a software update since the 80s. But there's no time to ease in. Another alien swarm is on the way. Thanos is getting closer. Luckily, Arsenal absorbs the Power Stone, finally giving the Avengers something they've been desperate for, a weapon powerful enough to fight what's coming. To get this machine ready, Arsenal's training continued under Tony Stark's ever-watchful eye. The man was studying every single move like he was watching a billion-dollar stock fluctuate, but the time for tech showcases was over. The Avengers were called into action. They were ambushed by the Grim Reaper. With a single EMP blast, he temporarily shut down Iron Man's suit, leaving Tony completely exposed, while the rest of the Avengers scrambled to minimize the collateral damage. But things got a lot worse when the Grim Reaper activated a missile locked onto Manhattan, and to make it even more fun, any attempt to redirect it would cause it to explode instantly. Thor shot into the sky, trying to intercept the missile before it hit, but when he realized he couldn't stop it without blowing up half the city, he hesitated. Arsenal didn't. Without fear or second guessing, the robot jumped into action. At the very last moment, he absorbed the full blast, stopping a catastrophe of epic proportions. The explosion was massive, but somehow he survived. Thor, stunned, realized right then Arsenal wasn't just some prototype. He was the real deal, a weapon worthy of the war to come. While the Avengers tried to process what just happened, their attention turned to the prisoner who still hadn't explained much, Red Skull. He was weak, mumbling nonsense, clearly broken by something way beyond human comprehension. Right before passing out, he muttered something strange. Natasha Romanoff, ever the realist, watched the scene with classic Black Widow skepticism. To her, this was just another maniac messing with powers he couldn't begin to understand. But the moment he mentioned the Infinity Stones, the mood changed. Suddenly, it all made sense. Thanos was near, and the final warning? It wasn't subtle. The Watcher, yeah, that cosmic being who never gets involved, was hurled to Earth like a broken chess piece. Message received. Thanos was on the move, and he was on the moon. If anyone still had doubts about his intentions, that ended now. This wasn't just a warning, it was an ultimatum. Captain America and Iron Man exchanged a look, no room for second thoughts. When they reached the moon, Thanos was already waiting. No monologues, no threats, just straight up war. The Mad Titan tore through the team with overwhelming force. Every hit was a reminder. This guy wasn't like anything they'd faced before. Then came the twist. Thanos revealed the Infinity Gauntlet. Calm and cold as ever, he slid the Power Stone into place, showing that he wasn't there to collect anything. He already had what he needed. The fight turned desperate. Each Avenger tried whatever they could to shift the tide, but Thanos was unstoppable. Arsenal, even with all his advanced programming, understood the truth. There was only one way to stop him. He launched himself at Thanos and absorbed the energy of the Power Stone, stopping the Titan from using it. But the power was too much. Arsenal wasn't built to handle that level of destruction. His systems gave out, and then he self-destructed. In the cold vacuum of space, surrounded by the wreckage of the battle, Arsenal's sacrifice faded into cosmic dust. Tony Stark watched it all happen, helpless. His creation, his connection to Howard Stark, his last card against Thanos, gone in an instant. The Avengers, battered and beaten, had no choice but to retreat. They'd lost the battle, but the war was far from over. Thanos had escaped. As the team regrouped, Tony stood quietly, staring at the remains of what once was Arsenal. He wasn't just a machine, he was an Avenger, and Tony had no intention of leaving him behind. He would rebuild him, stronger, smarter, better. Next time, Thanos wouldn't be so lucky. The Avengers know it's only a matter of time before the Mad Titan makes his comeback, and they're gearing up for the fight of their lives. Thanks to intel from Red Skull and a few universe-shaking battles that brought them together, they're as ready as they'll ever be. Then it happens. Thanos returns, and the universe holds its breath.
Worlds and lives wiped out by the power of the Infinity Gauntlet. My power.
There he is, chillin' on his cosmic throne like he's the king of everything, admiring the beautiful chaos he's unleashed. With a snap of his fingers, entire civilizations vanish. In his mind, he's not just powerful, he is the law. But of course, the Avengers, who can't catch a break to save their lives, launch into the ultimate showdown. Thanos now has all the Infinity Stones and is casually bending reality like he's testing out cheat codes. That's when Black Widow, the most dangerous woman to ever wear heels, spots something critical. Thanos' biggest weakness isn't his strength or his magic, it's his massive ego. So Natasha hatches a plan that's equal parts genius and reckless. She hits him where it hurts, his pride. She throws out a casual taunt, suggesting he doesn't really need the full gauntlet to squash a bunch of puny mortals. And of course, Thanos, never one to pass up a chance to show off, takes the bait. He starts activating the stones individually, basically turning the final battle into a live demo of Infinity Stones 101. The Avengers? They're paying attention. Every time he uses a stone, they're watching, analyzing, waiting for the tiniest opening. Meanwhile, Tony Stark pulls out his final ace, Operation Arsenal. The rebuilt and upgraded robot enters the battlefield, now equipped with a system designed specifically to absorb the stone's energy. He's the Avengers' last best shot. Arsenal charges in and starts draining the gauntlet. Thanos fights back, thrashing, raging, but without the full power of the stones, even the Mad Titan starts to crack. Hulk lands a WWE-style slam. Cap throws his shield like he's pinning a wanted poster to Thanos' face, and Thor finishes with a Mjolnir strike worthy of its own chapter in Norse mythology. And just like that, the inevitable happens. Thanos falls, but the Avengers barely get a second to breathe. Something's off. Arsenal, still absorbing energy, starts glitching, big time. And Tony, who's seen enough sci-fi horror to know when things are going sideways, realizes the awful truth. This isn't his robot anymore. Ultron's back. Then, with that smug, metallic voice that somehow makes everything 10 times worse, the Avengers are tracking Ultron across a desolate landscape, following a sketchy signal picked up by the Ultron detector. Yeah, that's a thing now. As always, Tony Stark is playing his usual role, paranoid genius with a flair for the dramatic. He warns the team to stay sharp. It's way too quiet out here. And if there's one thing we've learned, it's that silence usually means something's about to blow up. Out of nowhere, S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up, guns drawn, demanding the Avengers surrender. And to make things weirder, the Avengers who left the team, yeah, they're now working with S.H.I.E.L.D. Apparently, someone decided it was time to blame them for the destruction of an entire city, like genocidal AI and rampaging killer robots are somehow a them problem. Hawkeye, never one to hide his feelings, is full of sarcasm and eye rolls. Meanwhile, Black Widow sees right through through it. This whole setup reeks of a distraction, and she's right. Before the team can respond, their systems go haywire. Something's hacking into their tech, and then it hits them, literally. Falcon starts glitching. His voice shifts, and just like that, Ultron's in the driver's seat. The battle kicks off. Falcon, now under Ultron's control, turns on his friends. Iron Man scrambles to launch a digital counterattack, while Thor and Hulk are stuck trying not to hurt their possessed teammate. It doesn't stop there. Machines, civilians, anything connected to tech starts getting infected. New York turns into a full-blown digital apocalypse. Backed into a corner, Stark makes a desperate call. Hank Pym had been working on a cure, and luckily, he pulled it off. The final showdown happens at Avengers Tower. Ultron's trying to crack into global defense systems, and if he pulls it off, it's game over for everyone. The team throws everything they've got at him. Arsenal sacrifices himself to stop the upload. It works, kind of. Ultron's gone, but not gone. Something's still out there. Tony stares at the wreckage, and you can feel that sinking feeling in his gut. Captain America puts it into words. Do you think he'll come back? This battle might be over, but one thing's for sure. It brought the team back together. This team-up was a big deal. The Black Order, made up of Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, Ebony Maw, Black Dwarf, and Supergiant, broke into a high-security prison and busted out their big boss, Thanos. Not great. Meanwhile, a Corbinite named Jeter Can 2 from New Corbin makes a desperate plea to the Avengers. Mysterious invaders are laying waste to their world. The team jumps into action and soon finds out it's Thanos and his lovely band of space psychos behind it.
Your planet is missing, but your moon still hangs in orbit? You will not fool me with simple tricks.
The Avengers managed to fight them off, but it turns out New Corbin wasn't the main target, and that's when things go really sideways. The Avengers head to Earth, only to be hit with a chilling discovery. It's gone. Just nothing. Empty space. No debris, no floating rocks, no cosmic dust. Just a big old void where Earth used to be. The kind of silence that makes even Thor stop talking. Something's off. Thanos might be a lot of things, but he doesn't usually wipe out planets without leaving a mess. Then, like a miracle, a faint signal pops up on the comms. It's Black Widow, alive, and standing on solid Earth. Plot twist, Tony Stark, always 10 steps ahead, and, kinda loving it, had predicted Thanos' arrival, so he and Ant-Man pulled off the ultimate disappearing act. Using Pym particles, they shrunk the entire planet right before the impact. Earth wasn't destroyed, just miniaturized. Massive sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Thanos is not having a good day. When he realizes Earth is missing, he absolutely loses it, starts tearing through the galaxy, hell-bent on finding the tiny blue dot that slipped through his fingers. The Avengers seize the moment and launch an all-out attack. Hulk and Thor team up, bringing the Thunder and the Green Rage to try and overload the Infinity Gauntlet. Captain America leads the charge, because of course he does. What follows is an epic, desperate brawl, but Thanos eventually finds Earth and decides to turn the whole thing into a horror movie trailer. He broadcasts a message to the planet. You're all going to watch your world burn, and the Avengers will take the blame. Classic villain monologue energy. Back on Earth, Tony Stark unveils his Hail Mary, the DAN, Data Analysis Network, a global satellite system designed to channel every ounce of energy the planet can offer. The plan? Hit Thanos with a planet-wide Pym particle cannon blast. One shot, all in. But there's a hitch. Governments around the world aren't exactly thrilled about handing over their power grids to Iron Man. Enter Black Widow on a diplomatic speed run. She gets them on board. The world unites, funnels everything into that one shot, and fires. Boom. Direct hit. The gauntlet goes haywire. Thanos is staggered. The Avengers throw everything they've got at him. One final massive combo sends the Mad Titan flying. It's over. Back on Earth, amidst the rubble and ruins, Tony Stark takes a moment, looks on at what's left, and says what we're all thinking. The Avengers aren't just a team. They're a symbol, an idea. Season 3 kicks off with a bang as Captain America takes on a group calling themselves the Masters of Evil, solo, in the middle of the city. And sure, they underestimate him at first, until Cap reminds everyone exactly why he's the living, breathing definition of never back down. One by one, the rest of the Avengers join the fight. Thor, Iron Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Falcon. The street-level brawl is intense, but in the end, Earth's mightiest heroes come out on top. Back in Avengers Tower, the gang finally reunites after some serious time apart. Tony Stark, in full billionaire genius snark mode, jokes that after taking down the likes of Thanos and Ultron, there aren't really any major threats left, so everyone's kind of been doing their own thing. But the reunion takes a dark turn when Natasha drops a bomb. AIM, the creepy evil scientist club, is back in business, working underground and staying off the radar. Natasha leads a covert mission with Falcon, Bruce Banner, Cap, and Hawkeye. Disguised and undercover, they sneak sneak into an AIM underground facility and find a stockpile of stolen tech, some of it disturbingly familiar. Yeah, that's definitely a piece of Ultron. Before they can process what that means, the team gets made, and chaos erupts. Enter the Scientist Supreme, AIM's current head honcho, who unveils his latest creation, Adaptoids, robots that can instantly mimic the Avengers' powers. So, that's fun. 3 Adaptoids activate, and things spiral fast. The Avengers, rusty from working solo for so long, struggle to stay coordinated. Bruce tries to keep calm, but you know how that goes. One hit too many, and boom. We've got Hulk. Even with all that green muscle, they're still outmatched. And then it gets worse. The Super Adaptoid shows up. Basically, a nightmare mashup of all the Avengers' abilities, plus the twisted mind of the Scientist Supreme. Yeah, not ideal. The battle hits peak intensity. The Avengers are losing, until Cap does what he does best. Lead. He calls Delta Protocol. Thor strikes from below, Hulk from above, and Falcon isolates part of the Adaptoid systems. With perfect timing, Tony lands a hit on the vulnerable core. Falcon locks down the unstable component, but just when it seems like they've won, the base starts collapsing. Now, they have to choose. Save the civilians or stop the whole facility from crashing down.
Cap, Hawkeye, Widow, you guys go upstairs and keep those people safe. The rest of you, with me.
The team splits up. Hulk, grumbling the whole way, uses metal from the destroyed Adaptoids to reinforce the structure. Disaster averted. Then comes the post-credit scene, and it's a total vibe shift. In a dimly lit lab, we see the defeated Scientist Supreme writhing in pain until a new presence emerges. Ultron. Not just back, he's taken over the scientist's body. Turns out, Ultron was never truly gone, and now, his revolution is just beginning. This episode sets the tone for the whole season. High stakes, a serious wake-up call for the team, and the beginning of a new chapter in the war between humanity and technology. Buckle up. After tons of wild adventures, chaos takes over the city when a massive kaiju-sized creature shows up and starts wrecking everything in its path. Thor, being Thor, charges in head first, but with every hit he lands, the monster just keeps getting bigger. Hulk, Cap, and the rest of the Avengers quickly realize brute force isn't gonna cut it this time. That's when Friday, Tony Stark's ever-reliable AI, runs a scan and identifies the creature as a stimuloid, a beast that absorbs kinetic energy and grows stronger with every punch. Basically, the more you hit it, the worse it gets. For the first time in a while, the Avengers are forced to back off and rethink their game plan. And just when things couldn't get any weirder, a brand new team bursts onto the scene, the Thunderbolts. Armed with cool one-liners, flashy entrances, and sharp strategy, they take over the battlefield like it's opening night on Broadway. Led by the mysterious Citizen V, and made up of Songbird, Atlas, Mach 4, Meteorite, and Techno, they quickly win over the press and the public. Their slogan, "Justice like lightning," is suddenly everywhere. The Avengers, while relieved they've got backup, aren't exactly sold. Tony especially isn't loving it. Something about the Thunderbolts gear looks way too familiar. So, naturally, he does what Tony Stark does best. Investigates solo. He tracks down a warehouse, giving off signals that match his own tech. And surprise, he finds the Thunderbolts there. Confrontation incoming. Before things can escalate, a hologram of none other than Justin Hammer appears, dropping the bombshell. He's been the puppet master behind the scenes the whole time. Oh, and speaking of bombs, he activates one surrounded by an impenetrable force field, threatening to wipe out the entire area. With no time to argue, the Avengers and Thunderbolts are forced to team up. They pool their skills and resources to overload the force field and stop the detonation. It works, barely, and the city is saved by the skin of its teeth. The mission's a success, and for the first time, there's a real sense of mutual respect between the two groups. But Tony's not ready to let it go. With help from Friday and some inside info from the Thunderbolts, he uncovers that the team's publicist has been secretly feeding intel to Hammer. They trace her data and uncover 3 illegal factories. Avengers and Thunderbolts split up to shut them down. Inside, they find mandroids, military-style robots, being mass-produced using stolen Stark tech. Before they can gather enough evidence, Hammer triggers the self-destruct on all sites. It's a close call, but everyone makes it out alive. Finally, all the puzzle pieces come together. With new coordinates from the former spy, the heroes track down Hammer's final hideout. There, they face off against the Mega Mandroid, a towering robot decked out with energy shields and advanced advanced tech. What follows is an all-out brawl, but through smart teamwork, well-timed attacks, and a whole lot of grit, they take the giant down. Hammer is arrested on the spot. After the dust settles, no cameras, no cheers. Citizen V fires their shady publicist and drops the fame-hunting act. Tony sees something shift. Maybe these new heroes are the real deal after all. The rivalry fades into respect. The Thunderbolts thank the Avengers for trusting them, and with a simple line, Tony wraps it all up. New heroes will rise, but the Avengers, we're not going anywhere. After a bit of downtime, the Avengers are hit with a wild revelation. Inferno, a kid they thought was just a regular human, suddenly develops inhuman powers after getting a face full of Terrigen mist. Turns out, he was a dormant Inhuman all along. Plot twist. This raises a much bigger question. How many other humans out there are secretly carrying Inhuman DNA without knowing it? The whole thing makes everyone a little uneasy, especially Black Widow, who connects deeply with the idea of having her fate decided for her. It hits way too close to home, bringing up painful memories of her own past. But before the team can unpack all that emotional baggage, a wounded Lockjaw, the giant, adorable teleporting dog, shows up out of nowhere. In a flash of energy, he zaps everyone straight to Adeline. Only, something's off. The once thriving Inhuman city is now crawling with killer robots.
The welcoming committee is here, and they don't look happy to see us.
The Avengers find themselves cornered and under attack. Things look grim until boom. Black Bolt enters like an absolute legend, saving the day. He and the Seeker guide the team into a secret underground refuge. That's when the real bomb drops. Ultron has taken over Adeline. He's captured almost every Inhuman, including Inferno. As the Avengers explore the tunnels beneath the city, they stumble upon a hidden lab. The Seeker explains that Inferno really was a latent Inhuman, and that there are potentially tons more out there waiting to be activated. He even shows off a prototype device, a Terrigen mist disperser that could awaken these dormant powers on a global scale. Sounds cool, right? Not so fast. Natasha, never one to stay quiet, raises the obvious issue. What if people don't want to be transformed? Cue the existential debate. Destiny versus free will. Should anyone have the right to decide who gets powers and who doesn't? Before they can settle anything, the Seeker drops another bombshell. He's been working with Ultron this whole time. He thought he was helping his people, but shocker, Ultron totally played him. Now, with control of the prototype, Ultron reveals his true plan, to turn Black Bolt into a living power source for a weapon of mass destruction. Basically, Ultron wants to channel the pain of the Inhuman King into a planet-destroying death ray. Not exactly a feel-good solution. The Avengers race through the tunnels to stop him, dodging traps and battling upgraded killer bots. During the chaos, Black Widow saves Tony Stark from falling to his doom, which, let's be honest, is a solid upgrade from their usual banter. It's a small moment, but it shows just how much she's changed. The mission is now crystal clear. Stop Ultron from using Black Bolt's devastating voice as a weapon. In the final showdown, Tony manages to reprogram the device. Instead of unleashing destruction, it now releases the Terrigen mist across the globe. All over the world, dormant Inhumans begin to awaken, and with one last, earth-shaking scream, Black Bolt breaks free and destroys Ultron's weapon for good. Game over. With Attilan now relocated to Earth and a new generation of Inhumans rising, the Avengers are left reflecting on everything they've been through. In the end, it's not powers that make someone a hero, it's who they choose to be. After everything that's happened, Inferno is out wandering the streets, still reeling from the Terrigen wave, and doing his best to keep his unstable powers in check. While checking out a newly formed cocoon, he gets ambushed by a leftover Ultron bot. He tries to fight back, but yeah, having powers that randomly explode doesn't exactly help the situation. Just as things start spiraling out of control, Ms. Marvel bursts onto the scene, totally hyped and ready to go. With a loud "Embiggen," she throws her giant fists into the mix. The two of them may be a bit green, but together they manage to hold off the bot, especially when Captain America and Iron Man show up to clean house. Ms. Marvel's joy at fighting alongside her heroes is infectious, even softening up the ever-serious Steve Rogers. He starts to see some real potential in these rookies. As a thank you, Cap invites them to tour Avengers Tower. Ms. Marvel and Inferno are basically kids in a superhero candy store, poking around every corner, especially the totally not suspicious at all basement. Meanwhile, Tony Stark is just trying to grab a quick nap, but the new recruits are making that impossible. At first, he's clearly annoyed by the noise and chaos, but it doesn't take long for him to respect their guts and determination. determination. Of course, the fun doesn't last. Out of nowhere, the tower gets hit by Ghost, an old nemesis of Tony's, now upgraded with Inhuman powers. He takes down their comms, captures Hawkeye and Falcon, and reveals his true goal, stealing Friday, the AI that holds top-secret Avenger intel. With their systems fried and backup offline, the team's in serious trouble. To make things worse, Ghost destabilizes the ground under the tower, and the whole place starts sinking. No armor, no shield, no outside help, just pure grit. But Ms. Marvel and Inferno don't hesitate. While the others work to free their captured teammates, Inferno turns himself into a makeshift rocket to keep the tower from going full Titanic. Meanwhile, with Ms. Marvel's help, Tony manages to shut down Ghost's powers. The final showdown goes down at the base of the tower. Ghost thinks he's got it in the bag, until Ms. Marvel lands a clean hit and delivers a massive embiggen that ends the fight once and for all. With the crisis averted, the young heroes finally get to explore the infamous basement, only to find a bunch of old junk.
The secret of Avengers basement is old junk?
Tony, absolutely wiped, gives them a half-hearted compliment before passing out mid-sentence. Cap, smiling, clearly sees something special in them, and before they head out, Ms. Marvel asks Steve for a selfie, because let's be real, who wouldn't? And just like that, the next generation of heroes starts to take shape. Ultron's back, and he's more ruthless than ever. Freed from the Destroyer armor, he's now lurking beneath the surface, literally. Using undersea communication networks, he plots his silent revolution. No more negotiations. Humanity either falls in line, or gets wiped out. His assault is devastating. Waves of sentries flood major cities, while brainwashed Inhumans turn on innocent people. This isn't just another villain with a grudge. It's the end of the human era knocking at the door. The Avengers are out of time and out of options. It's do or die. So they come together like a real team. No more second guessing. No more solo missions. And in the middle of the chaos, sensing the scale of the threat, the team regroups at Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. Because where else do you go when the apocalypse is trending? There, they uncover Ultron's mind control method, registration discs, powered by Stark Tech, and yeah, that hits Tony hard. But instead of wallowing in guilt, he does what he does best, come up with a plan. Back in the fight, Hulk takes on Inferno, still under Ultron's control, giving Tony the window he needs to upload a reversal code. One by one, the Inhumans snap out of it, and just like that, the tide of battle shifts. But of course, Ultron isn't done. He storms into Wakanda, hijacks a new body made entirely of Vibranium, and upgrades himself into a literal solar-powered death machine. He transforms into a giant antenna, soaking up solar radiation like a tech-obsessed sunflower. His endgame, turn Earth into a lifeless machine world, purged of all organic life. Time's running out, fast. The final showdown kicks off. The Avengers throw everything they've got at him, trying to crack through his defenses. Meanwhile, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Vision are on a stealth mission trying to sneak into the tower, but Ultron still has the upper hand. Then comes the gut punch. He hacks into Tony's suit and fuses with his mind. Now, he's not just wearing the armor, he is Tony Stark. The team's stuck. Take out Ultron, and they lose Tony. But then, Doctor Strange pulls a rabbit out of his magical hat. He opens a dimension where technology doesn't work. It's the only place Ultron can't follow. The catch, Tony has to go too. Tony agrees. No drama, no speeches, just one last moment with his team. He entrusts them with rebuilding the world and steps into the unknown. With Ultron finally gone, the Avengers regroup. Their tower, gone. Wakanda and Attilan begin the long road to recovery. And just when it feels like it's all over, a signal cuts across dimensions. Avengers, assemble. Tony might be far away, but his legacy, that's here to stay. The Avengers were fighting a battle not against a villain, but against time. Ever since Tony Stark vanished into an unstable dimension, the team hadn't taken a single break. Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Falcon had poured everything into one mission, bringing their friend and teammate back home. The dimensional device that could rescue him was nearly complete, and on the other side of that cosmic void, Stark was doing what he did best, putting on a show. Broadcasting straight from the Stark Expo, he sent out cheerful updates, acting like everything was under control, and he'd be back any minute now. Classic Tony. But while Earth's mightiest heroes were laser focused on getting their guy back, something or someone was watching. Lurking in the shadows of Stark's tech, Ghost, a hacker and high-tech thief, saw a golden opportunity. With Tony out of the picture, his ironclad security systems weren't exactly ironclad anymore. For someone like Ghost, the Stark Expo wasn't just an event, it was an open vault, practically begging to be looted. looted, and loot he did. Ghost launched his attack with surgical precision, slipping through defenses like a digital ninja. He ducked security, bypassed protocols, and moved with the kind of smug confidence that made it clear this wasn't his first rodeo, but the Avengers were on site, and they weren't about to let him waltz out without a fight. The battle was short, but intense. Before they could pin him down, Ghost vanished like a glitch in the Matrix, leaving behind a mess and a message. The real threat was flying under their radar. The warning hit hard. Cap tried to rally the team, but Thor couldn't shake the weight on his shoulders. Tony was gone, and maybe, just maybe, they hadn't done enough to bring him back. That kind of guilt, Thor knew it all too well. Turns out he had every reason to worry. Before the dust had even settled, a new threat made its move. The leader, a genius-level villain with a head full of plans and a forehead to match. He came packing an army of humanoids, obedient, destructive, and totally unstoppable. His target? The arc reactor. But he didn't just want to steal it. He planned to use it for something much bigger. The attack hit the Stark Expo like a wrecking ball. The Avengers scrambled to defend the site, juggling brute force and strategy in a chaotic free-for-all. Hulk, usually the go-to guy for smashing things, found himself frustrated. These humanoids were too flimsy to smash effectively. Hawkeye and Black Widow had to think fast, adjusting their approach to minimize civilian casualties while still trying to take the bots down. But the leader wasn't there just to put on a fireworks show. The Expo raid was a diversion. By the time the team realized what was really going on, it was too late. The leader didn't just steal the reactor. He stole the core of the dimensional device, shutting down the portal and snuffing out their last real shot at saving Tony. Thor, crushed by the failure, swore to never leave another Avenger behind again.
I failed him, and now he's lost in the void. I vow, so long as I live, no Avenger will ever be allowed in harm's way again.
But words don't fix broken tech or broken hearts. The only clue left behind came from the enemy himself. As Falcon combed through the wreckage, he discovered that the leader's next target wasn't local. He and his army were heading straight for Wakanda's embassy in New York. No time to waste. The Avengers gave chase. But when they got there, they found something even worse. The leader wasn't working alone anymore. Out of the shadows stepped a new threat, the Cabal, an alliance of heavy hitters including Enchantress, Scourge, Arnim Zola, and Kang the Conqueror. That's right, when a guy named the Conqueror shows up, you know it's not going to be a good day. The battle kicked off immediately. Thor took on Enchantress and Scourge. Cap squared up with Zola. Falcon and Widow tried to stop Kang, but his tech was way beyond anything they were ready for, like trying to fight a smartphone with a flip phone. The Cabal wasn't there to play fair. They captured the Avengers using a force field that basically turned them into action figures. Cool looking, but totally useless. Only Hawkeye managed to slip through the cracks. He triggered the embassy's defense systems, creating just enough chaos to free his team. But the Cabal wasn't interested in sticking around. With their mission complete, they disappeared into the night, taking stolen tech with them and leaving the Avengers with one chilling message. Without Stark, they were doomed. Frustration hung in the air like smoke. But just as the team was about to lose hope, a new ally stepped into the fight. Black Panther had been watching, and now, with the stakes rising, he knew it was time to act. Moving like a ghost in the night, T'Challa infiltrated the Cabal's operations with surgical precision. His first priority, recover the stolen Vibranium. He neutralized the static expander, one of the leader's major pieces of tech, and threw a major wrench in their master plan. But the Cabal wasn't going to take the L without a response. The order went out, hunt down the Panther. Scourge took the job personally, chasing T'Challa with a massive Asgardian wolf. But this was Black Panther's world, and he was no easy prey. Using his wit and knowledge of the terrain, he flipped the script, turning the hunt into a trap and making Scourge the hunted. Meanwhile, reinforcements were gathering. Vision, the quiet powerhouse with a mind like a supercomputer, realized the Avengers needed more firepower. He rallied new allies. Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, Ant-Man, and Wasp answered the call. The Avengers weren't alone anymore. The war against the Cabal entered a new phase. Scourge and his giant mutt were taken down by the combined might of the heroes, and for the first time the villains felt the pressure of a united front. But let's be real, the battle was just getting started. Betrayal among villains? Yeah, that was bound to happen. The leader, once so sure of himself, realized way too late just how shaky his position really was. The Cabal was never exactly a tight-knit crew, more like a group project where everyone secretly hates each other. So the moment things got messy, his so-called allies turned on him without a second thought. Meanwhile, the Avengers were doing everything they could to shut down a doomsday weapon that was already counting down. And when it finally went off, Chaos. No one knew what happened, and nothing was certain anymore. But the worst part, the original Avengers had vanished. Captain America, Thor, and the rest, gone without a trace. Communications were dead. Hope was fading. Only one name remained to lead the shattered team, Black Panther. The war was far from over, but the resistance? That was just getting started. After a bunch of wild adventures, the new Avengers realized they need some serious muscle on the team. Lucky for them, Thor's long-lost Olympic counterpart shows up, Hercules. Yeah, that Hercules. The guy's got biceps the size of Buicks and enough ego to match. At first, he seems like a great addition, until he borrows a magical club from Ares. You know, the Greek god of war with major anger issues. Turns out, the club opens the gates of Tartarus, a giant cosmic prison for the worst of the worst. So yeah, not ideal. Even with that mess, the team gives Hercules a shot, but Ares isn't too thrilled and kidnaps him. The Avengers head straight to Olympus for a god-level showdown to rescue their new teammate. In the chaos, Hercules tries to dip with the scepter and leave the Avengers hanging, but Ms. Marvel steps in and snatches it.
Now, you're gonna give it to me, then you're gonna go back and help Black Panther. You hear me?
To be a true warrior.
Will you shut up?
That's when Hercules has a change of heart. He realizes, hey, maybe fighting with mortals isn't such a bad gig, and joins the battle to take down Ares. They manage to trap Ares back in Tartarus, but in the end, Hercules decides not to officially join the team. He admits he's just not ready. Even with the new Avengers holding things down, Earth's still a sitting duck without the OG squad. Luckily, Jane Foster steps in like a cosmic GPS, tracking down each of the original Avengers. And just like that, it's time for a comeback mission to bring the old crew back together. Things kick off in pure chaos. The new Avengers get these fancy rope bracelet thingies. Yep, just another toy-selling gimmick, and head out to rescue the original Avengers, who've been captured by the Cabal. But of course, like every Marvel rescue mission ever, nothing goes according to plan. First stop, Vision and Wasp get tossed into a dystopian future, where Falcon decided to go full sidekick mode for Kang the Conqueror. Great. To make things worse, the resistance against Kang is being led by none other than Red Hulk, because obviously, if there's a war in the future, a Hulk has to be involved. After some good old punching, a few explosions, and the usual dramatic speeches, they manage to snap Falcon out of his brainwashing and head back home. Mission 2, Ant-Man dives straight into Dimension Z to rescue Black Widow, Captain America, and Hawkeye, who are now basically doing Hydra cosplay thanks to Arnim Zola and his brainwashing factory. Q fights against something called Doughboys. Don't ask. And an escape scene that feels straight out of a 2D platformer. More Avengers rescued? Check. Next up, we head to the deserts of Asgard. Black Panther and Hulk are chained up because apparently someone thought it'd be smart to let the Executioner mess around with a magical crystal that controls Hulk's transformations. Genius. But you know how it goes. Some punches here, a few backflips there, and boom, another successful rescue. In Mission 4, Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel travel to a frozen asteroid to free Thor, who's currently moonlighting as Enchantress's personal bodyguard. After some reverse brainwashing, yep, that's a thing now. A few well-placed lightning strikes, and a dramatic farewell, Thor's back on the squad. Everything seems to be falling into place. Until, surprise, Earth's been conquered by Loki. Again, but this time, he's not just pulling pranks or crashing the Asgardian dive bar. He gets his hands on the casket of ancient winters, and basically turns Manhattan into a walk-in freezer. But if there's one thing Marvel loves more than a villain monologuing, it's watching that same villain get beat by the same heroes again. The Avengers win. World saved. Wanna try for like 5 minutes, because before they can even high-five, they get yeeted into Battleworld, a chaotic mashup of alternate realities ruled by the Beyonder, a cosmic-level diva with god powers, and the ego of a YouTube prankster with 10 million subs. Now the Avengers have to get the team back together, and the missions only get wilder. First, Cap and Black Widow stumble upon Iron Man in the no-tech zone, basically a place where Tony's suit battery dies faster than a knockoff phone charger. Naturally, they fight sand mummies and a random Moon Knight along the way. Meanwhile, Loki, as always, shows up out of nowhere with a brilliant plan to help, which usually means messing everything up. Elsewhere, Thor and his crew battle trolls and shadow beasts while trying to rebuild the Bifrost Bridge. Black Panther and Falcon team up with Iron Fist to fight Dracula. Yeah, you read that right, but not just any Dracula, a Dracula possessed by a symbiote, which means sunlight doesn't bother him anymore, and he's probably got a secret brand deal with Marvel to keep showing up in everything. thing. Ant-Man and Ms. Marvel, on the other hand, end up in a pirate adventure, because why not, where they face off against a swashbuckling Red Skull and his army of skull boots. I don't know what the writers were on for this part, but I kinda want some. Back in Weird World, yep, that's the actual name, Black Widow and Captain Marvel discover that Bruce Banner and Hulk have split into two separate beings, and Banner wants to capture Hulk before he goes full Smash mode again. Oh, and Morgan Le Fay shows up trying to turn Hulk into a magical battery. Also, Jane Foster is now the sheriff in a Wild West town, because, sure, why not? Then comes the grand finale. Beyonder decides he's had his fun and starts pitting the Avengers against each other. Cap and Iron Man get captured by his all-star villain team, which includes Ares, Crimson Widow, and MODOK, because no bad guy squad is complete without a giant floating brain to make things look serious. In the final showdown, the Avengers face off against Ares and a literal army of Ghost Riders. Thor tosses Mjolnir to Jane Foster, who officially becomes Lady Thor.
You know what they say, Beyonder. Whoever is worthy will possess the power of Thor!
Meanwhile, Doctor Strange and Loki try to use the Bifrost to fix reality, which means Loki actually has to be useful for once. In the end, Loki decides being the Sorcerer Supreme is cooler than being the God of Mischief and takes the gig. And now, guess what? The Avengers are the only thing standing between him and universal domination. But don't worry, he gets defeated, and this insane storyline finally wraps up. After all the drama that's gone down with the Avengers, things finally seem to be chilling out. One quiet evening, like the kind where the universe itself hits snooze, the Avengers decide to get together. But don't worry, it's not for another save the world situation. The vibe? Pretty relaxed. Think of it as a superhero happy hour. Kamala Khan, our always late but too likable to be mad at queen, shows up buzzing with energy. The reason for the meetup? A special presentation. Black Panther, as poised and dignified as ever, basically the human version of a strong black coffee, proudly introduces his sister, Shuri, Princess of Wakanda, tech genius and effortlessly charming, even if she's a little nervous around the Avengers-level A-listers. Kamala, in her classic chaotic fashion, nearly blurts out her real name during the intro. Just when it feels like we're watching a Marvel-themed sitcom, the universe decides it's had enough peace and quiet. An urgent transmission crashes the party. Manhattan's under attack. Yup, just another Tuesday in the Marvel universe. No time for selfies or dramatic speeches. The team jumps into action, cue explosions, screaming, and your usual big city destruction. In the middle of the chaos, we meet tonight's surprise guest, Atlantean troops led by Tiger Shark, a villain who probably owns a copy of World Domination for Dummies. He struts in with all the swagger of a C-list C-villain and declares that the surface world now belongs to Atlantis. Real original dude. The fight kicks off, and at first, Tiger Shark feels like a mid-level video game boss. But the second he hits the water, game over. His strength goes through the roof, and just when the Avengers think they've got a handle on things, he pulls out his new toy, Neptune's horn, because of course every villain needs a dramatic magical artifact. With just one blow, yes, one single blow, he summons a massive sea monster straight out of a Lovecraftian nightmare. The Manhattan Bridge turns into a wrestling ring for mythological beasts. Ms. Marvel, thrown into the mix with the heavy hitters, totally steps up, because nothing says, I'm a real Avenger now, like throwing hands with a kaiju. Meanwhile, T'Challa and Tony go full magical detective mode, hunting down the horn to prevent round 2 of Monster Madness. Naturally, they walk right into an ambush, because superhero life is basically jumping from one disaster to the next. They manage to stop a second blow, and in a tantrum of defeat, Tiger Shark smashes the horn. Except, plot twist, it was just a decoy. The real power is still out there, just vibing. Enter Shuri, armed with a brain that could win 3 Nobel Prizes and a deadline tighter than spandex. She whips up a holographic replica of the horn and crafts a counterspell. One small hiccup, she needs a ridiculous amount of power. The solution? Oh, just a vibranium generator conveniently tucked away in the Wakandan embassy in New York, because apparently diplomatic buildings come with secret reactors now. T'Challa's hesitant, but Shuri's not waiting around. She hooks up the generator to the city's grid like she's plugging in Wi-Fi, fires off the counterspell, and boom, monster down. Applause all around, but peace is short-lived. Tiger Shark, master of bad timing and worse exits, vanishes near, you guessed it, the Wakandan embassy. Coincidence? Please. Then it hits them. Maybe Shuri Shuri was the real target all along, and before anyone can catch their breath, a new threat starts to rise. Because if there's one thing the Marvel Universe doesn't know how to do, it's take a break. The battle in the city might have calmed down a little, but over at the Wakandan embassy, things were just starting to heat up. While the Avengers were still rounding up the last of the Atlanteans in the streets, T'Challa and Iron Man made their way toward the building, shielded from scans and creepily quiet, like not even a cricket chirping. The place had that classic, yep, something bad's about to go down energy. Inside, Shuri was alone, and not just alone, more like face to face with Tiger Shark, a guy who looks like he jumped out of Shark Week and decided to start some real-life drama, panicked and ditching every rule of diplomacy and basic common sense. T'Challa busted into the embassy like someone who forgot their Wi-Fi password for the 5th time. His instincts kicked in before any political filters could. Meanwhile, Shuri had zero interest in playing the damsel in distress. Instead, she stepped up like it was a high-stakes episode of Survivor. She taunted, manipulated, and set a trap for Tiger Shark like she was gunning for a prize. And with her brother's arrival, they managed to take him down. For now, at least. But Shuri wasn't done. She wasn't about to be sidelined. When T'Challa tried to force her to escape, she dug her heels in. She wanted to fight, to protect, to do something. It was that classic soap opera sibling standoff moment. Emotional, intense, dramatic. And in the end, they struck a deal. She could stay, but only if she rebooted the embassy's security system. Not exactly the hand-to-hand combat she had in mind, but still the most critical task on the board. She agreed. No complaints, no theatrics. While Shuri got to work, T'Challa faced off against the Shark once again, and Tiger Shark, always as charming as a pebble in your shoe, made it clear he had no love for Wakanda. But here's the twist. He wasn't after Vibranium. He wasn't there to blow stuff up just for kicks. He had a very specific target. And no, it wasn't the latest iPhone on sale. The Avengers finally showed up, and chaos erupted. Tiger Shark, doing what villains do best, vanished in the middle of the mess. The team split up to find him, and guess who tracked him down? Yep, Shuri. She found him in the cultural gallery, surrounded by priceless artifacts, holding a tiny clay pot. Yep, a pot. Seemed random, until T'Challa recognized the royal seal of Wakanda on it, of course. Because in the end, it's always about ancient pottery. Tiger Shark took off with the vase like it was the last PS5 on Black Friday. A chase through the streets of New York kicked off, and the Avengers weren't holding back. One by one, they closed in, fought him, cornered him, but even trapped, Tiger Shark smiled. His mission already complete. He had the vase. And just when you think the episode's winding down, boom, here comes Atuma, king of Atlantis, crashing in with all the flair of someone showing up uninvited to a party just to ruin it. He claimed Tiger Shark had gone rogue, and that he'd be taking him back to Atlantis. T'Challa wanted answers, justice.
Is mine for what he did to this city, for what he did to my family.
Atlantis has not broken the peace, King T'Challa. Not yet.
So with the most reluctant diplomatic energy ever, he handed Tiger Shark over, but not without the classic Wakandan warning, Wakanda never forgets. The episode ends with Shuri and T'Challa standing side by side, both looking like they know the storm's far from over. She asks if it's finally done, and he, with the kind of look only someone who's seen way too much can give, drops the obvious. Of course not, because if there's one thing we've learned, when ancient vases start popping up, the real trouble is just getting started. Deep in the middle of a thick, humid jungle, up in the Alps, where even the air feels like it's running on battery saver mode, T'Challa touches down with his usual royal finesse. Today's mission, break into Chateau Lefay, a former Shadow Council base that now supposedly serves as Baron Zemo's quiet little getaway. Quiet. In the same way, a ticking time bomb is quiet. Meanwhile, Shuri's monitoring everything from the jet, throwing in commentary the way only a younger sister can. T'Challa moves in, smooth as ever. The welcome party, combat droids armed to the teeth. But he handles them, because of course he does. Then he finds Zemo. The two nearly kill each other, almost come to an understanding, maybe even share a moment. Almost. Which means everything happens all at once and nothing gets resolved. Enter Tiger Shark. Right in the middle of the chaos, Zemo decides to lend a hand, claims he's trying to redeem his father's legacy, but we're not buying it 100%. Still, he hands over his father's files, which include the first clue about a creepy old artifact, the Panther key. T'Challa takes down Tiger Shark and escapes with Shuri and Zemo in tow. Next stop, Adelan. Shuri sits this one out, but T'Challa brings backup. None other than Kamala Khan, the ever-enthusiastic Ms. Marvel. Officially, it's a diplomatic visit. Unofficially, they're there to track down the second piece of the Panther key. Only problem? The Inhumans aren't exactly in a let's return stolen artifacts mood. While Black Bolt and Medusa argue like a cosmic couple in the middle of a galactic therapy session, Kamala and T'Challa sneak off into Attilan's underground catacombs. Cue the booby traps, crystal spiders, and Betrayal. That wasn't Princess Crystal after all. It was Xanda, Princess of Narobia, and current employee of the month at the Shadow Council. She copies powers, fools everyone, and nearly gets away with the key fragment. Nearly. Because Kamala shows up big time, literally and figuratively. Xanda escapes, but the key returns to Wakanda, along with some awkward diplomatic tension. Still, Black Bolt gives T'Challa his blessing to protect the artifact. Back in Wakanda, total chaos. The kingdom's tech crashes hard, and there's only one guy smart enough and shady enough to pull it off. And Jadaka, former professor, current headache. T'Challa tracks him to a conveniently creepy volcanic island, because where else would a villain hang out? And runs into Kraven. Yes, that Kraven. The guy wants to turn hunting Black Panther into a reality TV episode. Spoiler, it doesn't end well for him, but the real threat shows up right after, and Jadaka drops the fake identity and embraces a new name, Killmonger. Now he's sporting an upgraded battlesuit, a world domination plan, and a satellite locked on a collision course with Wakanda like a vibranium-fueled meteor. Shuri, being the genius she is, holds down the fort, hacks the system, and with a little help from her big brother, saves Wakanda again. The Panther key is almost complete, and Killmonger, he escapes. Because of course he does. Villains always dip out before the third act. But one thing's crystal clear. Wakanda will not fall. Not today, not tomorrow. Not with Shuri running the systems and T'Challa back on the throne. For now. This time, our adventure dives deep. Like, really deep. We're talking pitch black, pressure crushing, where the sun don't shine kind of deep. And down there, in the murky depths of the ocean, a highly symbolic meeting is about to go down. Iron Man heads to Atlantis as the official Avengers rep, not for a deep-sea vacation, but for some serious diplomacy and scuba gear. He's greeted by the ever-grumpy Atuma, his daughter Alana, basically the kingdom's defense tech genius, and Orca, the new military commander, who looks like he's been mad since birth. As a gesture of goodwill, or maybe a last-ditch attempt to stop World War I, the Avengers hand over the last few prisoners from the Shadow Council, a diplomatic peace offering that should end the conflict. Should, but peace never comes with a receipt. While the talks hang by a thread, T'Challa pulls a sneaky move. He reaches out to Black Widow in secret, or at least who he thinks is Black Widow. Then he drops a bombshell. Captain America is alive. Only problem? Her reaction is all wrong. She stumbles, hesitates. Classic imposter behavior. Boom. Turns out it's been Xanda the whole time. Shadow Council infiltrator disguised as your friendly neighborhood spy. Gotta love the classics. Xanda bounces with the confidence of someone who's way too sure of herself, announcing the inevitable. War is coming, whether the heroes like it or not. With comms cut and Atlantis in full blackout mode, it's up to T'Challa to fix this mess the old-fashioned way, by throwing hands. And guess who he turns to for backup? His rebellious brother Hunter, aka White Wolf, currently chilling in the dungeon. The reunion has it all. Sarcasm, sibling jabs, and bruised egos. But T'Challa swallows his pride, and Hunter's in.
He has to ask me in words.
T'Challa.
Help me break into Atlantis. Please.
The mission? Infiltrate Atlantis and stop the coup. Hunter's brilliant plan? Use the city's geothermal tunnels. Basically the hottest, deadliest path imaginable. Like a suicide run, but sweatier. Against all odds, they actually make it. They're met by Alana, who is not happy to see them, and quickly throws them into custody. But something's off. The guards are acting like they're in a low-budget play, and when they reach the cells, full-blown tragedy. A rebellion's already underway. A faction of Atlantean soldiers has teamed up with Tiger Shark, and is taking Atuma down from the inside. Because of course, there's always someone looking to blow up the system. Cue the chaos. T'Challa, Hunter, and Alana throw down hard against the traitors. Even Orca, the super skeptical commander, ends up believing them and joins the fight. With momentum shifting, the rebellion gets crushed, and Alana, the same tech nerd people wrote off as just a lab princess, she steps up and shows real leadership, enough to earn the respect of seasoned soldiers. Not bad for a rookie royal. Meanwhile, Clint Barton, our favorite unlucky archer, is dealing with his own betrayal. Turns out the woman he thought was his ride or die, total fake. Thanks to a tip from T'Challa, he sees through the act. It's Xanda again, and she's not done yet. Her grand finale? A bomb, already ticking, meant to blow up the fragile alliance between Atlantis and the surface, with flair, of course. T'Challa arrives just in time to stop Hawkeye from becoming barbecue, but the real damage is already done. The trust between the Avengers? That's what truly exploded. With Clint down, T'Challa tells Alana to get into the medbay. Meanwhile, he slips back into King mode, mode, no hesitation, no more second chances. The Shadow Council just raised the stakes, and now it's on him to keep everything from sinking. Literally, the king is back, and yep, war's already here. The tension is so thick, you could slice it with a Vibranium spear. With less than a minute on the cloth, Black Panther and his crew have to stop Xanda and defuse a bomb that's about to turn Atlantis into an underwater junkyard. The issue? Time. There's not enough of it to do both. The only option? Split up, because obviously, every last-minute, half-baked plan needs a dramatic team divide. Hunter, aka White Wolf, decides to go it alone, because for him, confidence isn't a state of mind. It's a Tuesday. While T'Challa hesitates for a second, Hunter's already off like he's just running out for groceries. Mission's on. Meanwhile, Tony Stark, channeling his inner post-trauma peace negotiator, is trying to convince Attuma not to turn the surface world into sashimi. But the Atlantean king isn't exactly Team Iron Man. He's skeptical of humans, especially the flashy ones with abs of steel, and says part of his people would rather settle things the good old-fashioned way, with a trident to the face. Still, against all odds, Tony becomes the unexpected face of diplomacy, and just when it looks like things might actually de-escalate, Alana, Atuma's daughter, speaks up. She believes in unity, in peace, in giving people a chance. A little spark of hope flickers, and then instantly burns out, because of course, everything goes sideways. Xanda finally gets unmasked, and like every soap opera villain ever, she's not just a fraud, she's the actual big red button of doom. She played the Avengers, manipulated Attuma, and dropped a bomb in the heart of the palace. The place starts crumbling, and in classic I'm too smart for my own good fashion, she refuses help, screams like a reality show meltdown, and gets buried under her own mess. A fitting end for someone who thought she had it all figured out. In the chaos, Attuma ditches his whole ruthless dictator vibe and does the one decent thing he'll be remembered for. He saves a child. He sacrifices himself to protect the innocent. From angry warlord to surprise martyr. A plot twist even the writers didn't see coming. Alana finds her father's body and breaks down. The people chant for Attuma, and just like that, the peace-loving princess becomes a queen fueled by rage.
I swear, Father, you will be avenged.
Back on the surface, Black Panther and Hunter go head-to-head with Killmonger. The fight's brutal, full of strategy, precision strikes, and the kind of intensity that proves T'Challa's got more than just strength. He's got heart and brains. Killmonger loses, of course, but like any classic villain, he doesn't go down quietly. He offers a deal. He knows where Black Widow is, and suddenly, the whole game changes. But there's a catch. T'Challa refuses to hand Killmonger over to Alana's justice system, because unlike most people in the room, he understands one thing: revenge isn't justice. But Alana, raw from grief and practically breathing fire, sees it as betrayal. Just like that, the fragile alliance between Wakanda and Atlantis shatters before it even gets started. The new queen cuts all ties and vows revenge. So long, diplomacy. Hello, international smackdown. With nothing but fury in her eyes, Alana sets her sights on Tiger Shard. She's done talking. She wants war. And just like that, the peace is officially dead. Or maybe it was always just a pretty illusion.